From the studios of Staten Island Community Television, you're watching In the Bleachers, the TV show for the world's most passionate sports fans. Hello, everyone. I'm Jaime Hixson, joined by a good friend of mine on the phone.
The hardest, baddest, sexiest man on cable access TV, till retaining the fries and the mobility of being me. That's right, yours truly, Hector Bosa. That is absolutely correct. And I got to tell you, Jamie, so much controversy, so much drama.
Controversy, drama, people opening their mouths when they really shouldn't.
Is this the time where we should cherish these moments? Because remember back in the day when you had Monotonova, Connors, Agassi, they brought thrills and chills, whether they liked each other or not.
Yeah.
They brought in the news because people like to hear good news, but does it have that appetite of controversy? So you don't have that anymore with tennis.
No.
Unless Serena does something wrong with her wearing short shorts.
Or if you have Rafael Nadal and the guy from Switzerland, which is, unfortunately, the name escapes me.
The marathon runner who broke the world record, but she had trousers on. So that was controversial in itself.
And I'm thinking of Roger Federer.
But is that really controversy?
Has there been controversy? Yeah, there's been controversy. Controversy involving controversy in the playoffs, for one. The Rockets thought they were shortchanged in each of the first two games of their series with the Warriors, and no calls were made.
Yeah, they said they weren't getting the 3-point call.
Yeah, even 2 days ago in the Kentucky Derby, the lead horse wound up getting disqualified. So the second place horse wound up being named the winner.
65 won the shot.
Yeah.
That paid big money if you didn't break the ticket. Because a lot of people have a tendency, as soon as they break the horse loses, they break the ticket. But they even tell you it wasn't an official ruling. You have to wait until it's an official ruling.
Yeah.
But they did it, and voila, a lot of people must have been having cake that day because they lost. But I tell you, today was that day. Then you have the Islanders closing it out. And
more like getting closed out. More like getting closed out.
And then I don't like doing this all.
By the way,
it's fun though because today was the last day, and then you have to decide on who you want to keep, who you want to get rid of. But going back to the controversy of the Kentucky Derby.
Yep.
Isn't it funny how our president waged in on it and said we're being too politically correct?
Please.
Because of the machine that actually spotted it. Now, the owner of the person that won the Kentucky Derby and was disqualified is actually filing
filing a lawsuit, I presume.
No, not a lawsuit.
Or maybe a grievance?
He's filing a grievance because, according to what they're saying, it wasn't very distinctive. But you did see it. You actually did see the horse do what it had, because you're supposed to run in a straight line, not going into the horse. I can't find it. Don't ask me. Okay. But so that's what you have, and now he doesn't want to run the other
horse, I presume.
Yeah, no, he doesn't. He doesn't want to run in any of the other derbies.
You mean in any of the other Triple Crown races?
Yes, exactly. He doesn't
like
want
the
to run in
Preakness
any
or
other...
the Belmont Stakes.
Exactly.
That's
and
interesting.
You know that from when Mike Grant's friend Tessa was saying one point, he's saying they're so short of horses, and it shouldn't be all year round. But since it's governed by their states, they're trying to bring in as much money to that state. So they're trying to give you a lot of corks and whistles and bells to bring your horse in.
Mm-hmm.
But you get yourself a tire. I mean, for instance, in the city, you should have it up to a certain amount of time. You shouldn't have it all year round.
Mm-hmm.
You should have it up to a certain amount of time, and then in Florida, have it a certain amount of time. At least every 4 months, switch.
Right.
But they won't do that because they're missing out on a lot of money, and there's less and less horses to go around. Because if you notice, a Triple Crown winner is very hard to come by nowadays.
Yeah.
You know, and who was the last one? Seattle Slew still?
Actually, the last Triple Crown winner was just a few years ago. Unfortunately, the name of the horse escapes me.
Yeah,
I'll try and find that out for you.
Yeah, but you understand what I mean. So at this point in time, you have that controversy now.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say he does win the grievance, right?
Right.
He gets all the prestige back, but all the people that betted don't get their money back unless there's going to be a lot of lawsuits back then too.
Exactly right.
And do you see sports being too politically correct now? Do you think we're at a point where we're going to just start using machines? And
I hope it doesn't get to that point. I really don't. The last thing I want to see is a pitching machine being used on the mound at a baseball game.
Or better yet, an umpire calling the balls and strikes, but he's actually a machine.
Yeah, that would be even worse. That's taking the human element totally away from the game.
Eventually, machines will have human instinct, and that's what's going to be. It's going to be like the Harrison Ford movie, Blade Runner.
Mm-hmm. And
for
the record,
to do that, we're starting to get that way. Machines are starting to have emotions and so forth. So don't be Terminator 2. Don't be too surprised.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not in our lifetime, but I'm sure it will be.
Let's just hope that we don't have a nuclear attack like what was portrayed in the movies.
Or 2001 Odyssey.
2001 A Space Odyssey.
Space Odyssey, right.
And for the record, the last Triple Crown winner in horse racing was Justify. Which was last year.
Exactly. Wow.
And before that, it was American Pharaoh, 3 years earlier.
So, again, but those are long races. Some of them are very long races, 1.5 miles, and, you have to do all that, and they put weights on you and so on to balance out. But all in all, that's a very big, because that's the first time in I don't know how many years that just came out, that they used that rule.
Right.
Now, some people have said, they shouldn't have. Some people said they shouldn't have done it. Some people say, you know what, it was the correct call, even though you may not like it. So that's the come I'm asking, do you think they did the right thing by making the call, or do you think they just should have let it slide?
Well, to be honest with you, I would have to see the replay of the last stretch, that final stretch of the race, in order to make a call. So, to be honest with you, I really can't comment on that.
He bumped into him. That's all I know. The horse really bumped into him, and that was the big thing because, you have to run in a straight line. It's like running track. You have to stay in your own lane sometimes, but they bunch in the middle.
Now, was it real blatant
there was real contact
that occurred?
Yes, it was on the replay that I seen. There was real contact. But again, was that contact enough to deserve to be disqualified, or is it enough contact to go? You know what? It's just the horses being together. That's it. You can't do much about it.
Well,
that's
I'm looking
at
the replay of it on YouTube.
Right.
They're showing this in slow motion.
Right. And what does it look like to you?
To be quite honest with you, I really don't see much.
There was bump though. I did see a bump, and because remember you bundle in, but it's that's like basketball being a no contact sport, and look what's happening. It's been turning into a WWE wrestling match. I mean, figure it. Basketball at its purest form is not supposed to be a contact sport. Why are we playing, let's cut the knees off, let's pull the shirt, let's do everything humanly possible. And baseball has to retain. Now, with baseball, do you think that the replay there is justified for when it comes to an outfield catch? Do you think they should use it for that to make the right call, or should they just not
To be
use it
quite
at all?
honest with you, I really don't know why there's been so much complaints about the replay system in baseball. The idea is to get this thing correct. Whether they take 30 seconds or 90 seconds or 2 or 3 minutes, you have to get this thing down pat. And even with the replay system, there have been some really, really dreadful calls when the plays that were shown were pretty obvious. For example, plays at first base where the guy was either safe or out. You know, if anything, I think they should expand it to balls and strikes as well. Because so many times, home plate umpires get calls at the plate just incredibly wrong.
Fatal?
I don't think it'll ever happen, but I'm just saying, maybe they should consider balls and strikes being included in replay. Yeah, that's the thing. It does take too much time.
Too much time. Okay. It would take too much time, and two, the purity of the game. Does it bring forth, or does it go back a step? Because the element of human, you know, like you said before, human. It's a human game. People got to make mistakes. You know, but I like the way they say, oh, well, if it was a nuclear war, you would have to be precise.
Yep.
You know, so we've become a country of 2 PC. That's for damn sure. That's for damn sure. We've become so PC that we can't even blow our noses the right way without offending someone.
Everybody wants to make a complaint about everything.
Exactly.
I'm not very thrilled about.
So now that you've seen, do you think that the guy should file a grievance or not?
Should he file a grievance? Well, after what I just saw there, I'm really not sure, but if he feels that there was contact involved, then yes, there definitely should be some contact involved.
Because he's saying that because even though there was contact, but he should have won the Derby. They're saying there was contact, and that's how come the horse was disqualified.
This spring, it's out.
Now, maybe if I watched the race
real time.
Maybe if I watched the race in full, I could probably tell a little bit more.
Yeah,
I'm gonna try and.
Long. Just if you do it on real time, it shouldn't take long.
All right.
Oh well, now that you're looking at that,
Since I'm looking at this replay of the race in its entirety, we could probably bring up some other topics that's going on.
the Islanders, like I said before, they lost in the playoffs. They made it farther than they were supposed to.
That team
Now-
overachieved this year. When you think about it, no John Tavares, Matthew Barzal, now the go-to guy, and with the supporting cast that he had, the Islanders had a really solid season.
And they, their biggest controversy was at the time, because I was reading this article on B Stream, whatever that's called. one of the writers was saying that they thought they would have problems with gold, with the goalie. They didn't have problems with the goalie this year.
Robin Lehner played very well for them.
Exactly. The wings, they have brought up two kids.
Mm-hmm.
Two kids that were, 21, 19, 21, something like that.
Yep.
And they scored enough points to be able to do something. And defensively wise, they did very well, too.
Mm-hmm.
But now today was the day that everybody says goodbye. And there's going to be a lot of people leaving, even though there's a new salary cap kicking in.
Yeah.
So now, what do? Because you want the team to be happy.
Right.
You stick with the team that you're happy and that may be able to get you over that hump if you have the same luck like this year. Or do you
if I'm the Islanders,
tweak?
I don't stand pat. I would make some changes. I would probably get a secondary scorer to support Barzal. And for the record, I just saw this race, and there was a major bump that Maximum Security made.
That was the bump. That was the big controversy.
It was just before they got to the final home stretch.
Yep.
So when you think about it, I really don't feel that there should be any kind of grievance that's filed here. They're showing the replay in slow motion. I'm going by NBC's feed of the whole thing.
Right. So yeah, that they've been talking about that through ESPN, but there's finally, what's funny?
Mm-hmm.
Eric Bischoff said, controversy creates, is it chaos?
Cash.
Creates controversy. Well, whatever the case may be, it's bringing food for thought for the sport. Because before you really never heard, unless it was a Triple Crown winner, you really didn't care who won the Kentucky Derby unless you're a horse guy.
Yeah.
Unless you're a betting man and so on. So that's been the big topic. But, as I heard one announcer state, do we need all this controversy to bring light to a sport?
We'd rather not.
Yeah.
Let the players decide it on the court, the field, or the ice.
Because look at all the big mouths that you have in the NBA. It makes basketball relevant throughout the year.
Yeah.
And even in football. Oh, speaking of, I wanted to tell you that the Rangers made a trade. They picked up a new kid.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. That's the kid from Harvard University.
They traded 2-for-1 for him.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to try and get the details of this deal. The Rangers made this trade with the Carolina Hurricanes while the Hurricanes were still in the middle of trying to make a run for the title.
Because they got at least it was the number one.
They're really loading up on young players now. They wound up getting this kid. Oh, and also the Rangers are going to be picking second in the draft. And the kid you're talking about is Adam Fox.
Right.
Adam Fox is a kid from Harvard who got drafted by the Hurricanes after his freshman year. Then he spent 2 more years with the Crimson. And then in his junior season, that's when he really stepped up his game. And for the record, Fox is a defenseman, and he was a finalist for the Hobey Baker Award, which is hockey's version of the Heisman Trophy.
Will Eric Lundqvist retire as a Ranger, do you think?
Will Henrik Lundqvist retire as a Ranger?
Yes.
That's not a guarantee, no. I made the statement before that maybe the Rangers should start bringing in some of these young players up to the big club. And it could mean that if Henrik Lundqvist wants to keep on trying to pursue a championship, I think he might have to do this someplace else. But the question is, who's going to take him? Because he still has a big contract. Plus, he's 37. Is any contending team going to want a 37-year-old goalie? Or are they going to look past that and look at his big game experience from the past 14 years and take a chance on the guy?
If you have a good enough team, a good young team that just may need a backup goalie or could use his experience, I think he'd be good for a good team. Even the Rangers themselves, if they decide to keep him, they don't have to play him every day, even though he probably wants to.
Yeah.
Now, again, if we go by age, sometimes age is only a number. It all depends how well you take care of your body.
Yeah.
So that's another thing that you have to consider. And does he have enough injuries? What is he doing? What's going on with him? So that's the whole factor. But the Rangers making a big rumble, the Islanders making a big rumble too by saying goodbye to some of their players leaving because they're at the end of their contract.
Mm-hmm.
So, most of the players that are on the Islanders, do you think that they'll bring back the majority of the players that they need, or do you think they'll just go, okay, you know what, let's see what we can do with a trade?
That's a really good question because when you think about it, the Islanders have a ton of free agents that they have to decide on, including the goalie, Robin Lehner. And if I'm the Islanders, I would give Lehner a fair offer, let's put it that way, to try and convince him to return. Because the Islanders, before he came around, they were really weak in goaltender. So if Lehner wants to return, the Islanders would be pretty set with him as their every game guy. But then there's so many other guys that they have to think about. There's Brock Nelson, who's been really solid for them. Jordan Eberle's been very good for them. There's also Dennis Seidenberg, Tom Conical, and Tanner Fritz, and also Lucas Abisa.
Andreas Lee.
And also Anders Lee. Anders Lee's been a guy who's been a stalwart for them for many years. That's
Carl
9 free.
Cutlerbuck.
And also Cal Clutterbuck.
Yeah, he's getting back surgery.
Yeah. So that's something for them to consider. A back surgery is going to take quite a while for any player to return from.
At least you have one thing going. The hockey will still be a little bit relevant now.
Yep. And now that Lou Lamoriello is running the show from the front office, and he has Barry Trotz as his head coach, the Islanders are going to be in very, very good hands for the next, I'd say, 2 or 3 years. If they can get themselves some help for Matthew Barzal and all the other players, I think the Islanders can be a really good contender.
Have you heard anything from the Devils?
As far as the Devils are concerned,
Yes.
Well, the good news is they have the first overall pick of the draft after winning the lottery. So that's something that Rangers and Devils fans are going to look forward to coming up. The Devils are going to have the first pick, and the Rangers are going to pick second.
Islanders pick what, 6, 7, somewhere on there, or they pick lower because they made the playoffs?
Because they made the playoffs, I think they're going to be picking around 16th or 17th.
Still not bad.
They can still get a very good player at that spot. As far as what else is going on, I see that their top goaltender, Corey Schneider, is preparing for I think, Team Canada at the World Championships. So if he can help Canada have a really good showing, then there's a strong possibility that he could have something to build on for next season.
Now the playoffs are set for hockey.
The playoffs?
Yep.
Yep, we already know that Carolina's going to the Eastern Conference Finals. Either Boston or Columbus is going to be joining them. And that's going to be going to a 7th game. As a matter of fact, they're actually they're playing the 6th game right now, not the 7th game. They're playing the 6th game of the Eastern Conference semifinals, and they're scoreless in the first period. Sharks and Avalanche out west is also going to a 6th game. That's going to be played tonight. And then tomorrow, there will be a 7th game, and that's between the Stars and the Blues.
I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Mike D'Antoni should be fired?
By the Rockets?
Yes, if he doesn't get past the playoffs.
If he doesn't lead his team to a championship, then yes, he absolutely 100% should be fired because he has made very little adjustments in this series against Golden State. And each time they have gotten burned badly because of it.
Now, what do you think about the no calls that they're not getting? Are they legit?
Some of them are really legit, yeah. But then there have been others that when you look at the replay, there's barely been any contact of any kind. But if anything, Houston has showed that they have had very, very little chill in their system right now. And it's a good thing that they won Game 3 because if not, they'd be a goner by now. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the Rockets and the Warriors are playing that 4th game of the series either tonight or tomorrow.
The 76ers game was a piece of work.
You could say that again. And Kawhi Leonard turned the Sixers into a piece of work. Him in his 39-point game. And for the record, that series is resuming tonight. And also
Joel
tonight...
Embiid didn't show up because he may have been hurt.
What's that?
Joel Embiid.
You mean Joel Embiid?
Yeah, Joel Embiid, yes.
Yeah, unfortunately, not only has he been suffering from a really, really bad fever, but he's had a couple of other physical maladies that have really been limiting him. He probably won't use it as an excuse. I mean, he's admitted that he's not feeling well at all, but he won't use that as an excuse. The Raptors tied this series because Kawhi Leonard was the best player in the game yesterday. He's been a perimeter terror against that Sixer defense in this series.
Can you see him leaving to go to the Clippers?
Do I see Kawhi Leonard leaving to go to the Clippers? Yeah, I do. He's a Southern
said
California
that he
native,
wanted to go
and
to the Clippers.
Yeah, he's a Southern California native, and he's been wanting to play closer to home. So naturally, I think the Clippers would be a good fit.
Now, here's the thing, and that is, do you think anybody wants to play with LeBron James now that they got Tyronn Lue back?
That's not a guarantee yet because Tyronn Lue still hasn't signed a contract with them. I mean, they're probably still talking, but if there are any hints of him going to the Lakers, he recently celebrated his birthday, and his birthday cake consisted of Lakers purple and gold icing.
Yeah, because here's the thing. Was that a Phil Jackson call or was that a LeBron call? Because now they're making a big deal that, well, since LeBron likes playing with him, he gets to be GM and everyone else.
I think this does have LeBron's fingerprints
even
on
though
them a
they're
little
saying
bit.
it's not. It was a Phil Jackson call.
Yeah, but does Phil really have any clout since he's not a Laker employee anymore?
Yeah, I think his opinion still is valued. I mean, his opinion will always be valued. I don't know if he's with Jenny Buss anymore, though.
Well, supposedly they broke up, but it would not surprise me if Coach Jackson had Jeannie Buss's ear and more, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, just like me. But do you know? Oh yeah, Jeannie Buss actually produces a Women of Wrestling show.
Yes, she does.
Isn't that funny? Remember Glow?
Oh, I remember Glow. They made a TV show about it for Netflix.
Right. Well, the company, the guy that owned Glow, is doing WOW now. Women of Wrestling.
That's very good.
I wonder if Warriors of Wrestling will say something about that.
We'll see.
But I was just wondering. Here's something that'll bring a smile to your face. You ready? It's about James Dolan.
James Dolan is going to sell the Knicks and the Rangers and Madison Square Garden so he can go out and buy his own rock band.
I wish that was the truth, but no, I cannot put that big of a smiley face on you. You know, I can't give you that happy ending.
The only happy ending there is if he disappears entirely.
There is controversy with him, with JD and his band.
There's been controversy with him.
And that he does not work enough. He's getting a huge salary, and the stockholders are actually suing him. So they're suing him because he doesn't work enough. He only works part-time.
When you say he doesn't work enough, what do you mean?
He's not doing his job at MSN. He's paying more attention to...
You mean MSG?
Yes. He's paying more. The stockholders of MSG, they're suing him because they think that they're overpaying him.
Well, you have to understand, he also has his responsibilities to Cablevision that he has to take care of.
Yeah, but according to them, he's only working part-time. He's not doing the full-time gig. He's paying more attention to his band than anything. But I thought that would bring a smile to your face because maybe now this will nudge them to go, hey, maybe we really don't need him.
The only thing that will put a smile to my face is if that guy completely sells both franchises and the Garden. That's the only thing that will put a smile to my face. And then maybe I will consider having some kind things to say about them again. But as of right now, they are still on my hit list of criticisms.
Well, like I said, I've never blamed you for blaming Dolan. I mean, I sometimes get on you because, you know, you don't give the players enough just sometimes.
Some of those players really don't belong in the game right now.
Yeah, no, I agree with you to some degree, you know.
In the league, I should say.
But what I'm saying is that, you know, with James Dolan, they're finally doing something about him because they've let this guy go for the very longest time.
Let's see them go for the kill here.
Well, let's see what happens. Can you foresee Carmelo Anthony going back to the New York Knicks?
Oh, brother. As if that franchise did not have any more problems that they were taking on. There was not one single team that would take that guy onto their roster after the Rockets basically dumped him last year. Why should the Knicks commit the same mistake twice?
Because I think, now this is just my opinion again, instead of him being a starter now, he probably knows his role that he's not going to be a starter anymore. He's going to be the 6th or 7th guy coming off the bench. Now, he can still score. Defensive-wise, we already knew he needed work.
Defensively, he's a mess.
But at this point in time, he can give you some minutes and 18 points or 20 points per game. He can't give you the points, but again, it all depends who you have on the court to be able to help him out. Just like Muggsy Bogues, you know, Muggsy Bogues was 5 foot something, but they had to work around him. So I'm assuming that it would be the same way. That's another thing that I was thinking about.
If I'm the Knicks, I would not touch that guy with a 10-foot pole.
Well,
6.5 years with that team, and not once did he ever lead them even to an Eastern Conference Finals. much less an
I
NBA
would
Finals.
see, depending upon who they would get as a free agent. Depending upon who would they get as a free agent, then you can talk about, well, maybe he'll be a good fit, maybe he won't be a good fit. You don't know until the nonsense of free agency and the number 1 pick or the number 5 pick goes to them, whichever the case may be. That's a conversation for May.
And June.
That's the end of May and June.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's when all the KDs and the Irving. I mean, I would love to see this. Like I said, KD and Irving going to the Knicks, Kyrie Leonard and Jimmy Butler going to the Brooklyn Nets.
I hate to tell you this, but
I would
I
like
don't
to
think
see that.
either scenario is ever going to happen.
But
These guys want to win championships. They're not going to be winning any championships in this city anytime soon.
Do you think, though? I mean, it is an improvement of the team by having those 4 guys in the 2 separate teams. But wouldn't it be cool, though, to have that type of bowling where you got 2 great players on one side of the island and 2 great players on the other side of the island?
It would be really intriguing. It would juice up the rivalry immensely, to be honest with you. But to be quite honest, I would much rather see all 4 of those guys on the exact same team, either as Knicks or as Nets. I want to see Jimmy Butler. I want to see Kevin Durant. I want to see Kawhi Leonard. I want to see Kyrie Irving. And while you're at it, put in Klay Thompson, if you will. There's your starting 5.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think that's going to happen because I don't think that there's enough salary cap to go around. But,
all the more reason why they should get rid of the salary cap. It's just hamstringing too many teams.
Well, here's the thing with salary cap. What do you do with the teams that don't make enough money, like the Knicks, like the Lakers? What do you do with the big teams?
Those teams are supposed to be the ones that are the cash cows. If anything, the league has too many teams as it is. There are some teams that are making nothing in the markets that they are right now. Sacramento, New Orleans, Charlotte, just to name a few.
I'm reading this. I'm going to send it
Memphis
to you.
too.
That way you can read it later because they're talking about if the Knicks don't get Leonard and Irving, should they get that kid Julius Randle, Joseph?
Julius Randle's a good player. I mean, he'll give them a lot of strength, body strength, and toughness in the not necessarily in the middle, but at power forward. He'll give them toughness at power forward, but you got to do better than Julius Randle.
What about Nikolai Mirotic?
Nikola Mirotic?
Yes.
Makes sense. I mean, he's a big guy who can score. And the Knicks do need some big men who can score. They haven't had one like that since Patrick got traded.
Because I sent you the link so that you can see it later.
Yeah.
So you can find out if the ball doesn't bounce to their court, like your KD and Irving, which is the big news. Again, there's more people coming out saying that KD is set, that they have a TV show for him and everything else if he decides to come to the Knicks.
A TV show?
Yes.
Oh, brother. He already has his own YouTube channel. What does he need a TV show for?
It is a big market. New York's still a big market.
He's already got thousands upon thousands of viewers on his YouTube channel. He does not need a cable TV show.
What do you think of Dwayne Dedman?
decent player. But to be honest with you, they've got to do better than Dwayne Dedman and Julius Randle. They need superstars.
I know, but this article is going, well, if they don't get the two big guys or the four big guys, who do you get? You shouldn't overpay for someone, let's say like an Amari Stoudemire, just to fill in the gap.
That was a horrendous contract, first of all. He only gave them 1 or 2 good years. After that, his knees were shot. And
the Golden State Warriors are preparing for him to leave in case of anything. Because that's another one. Do you sign DeMarcus Cousins? Do you sign? I mean, there's a whole bunch of people that they have to sign. Now,
if I'm the Warriors, I would do all I can to re-sign both Klay Thompson and Kevin Durant. I would cast DeMarcus Cousins aside, to be honest with you.
Even if it's a 1-year contract?
Even if it's a 1-year. Well, if he can accept a 1-year contract, that's one thing. But if he wants a max deal, forget it.
No, he's not getting a max deal. He's not prepared to get a max deal yet. But I wanted to tell you they actually have a piece on Meta World Peace.
It's funny that we talk about pieces on players, because just the other night they had ESPN. They did their 30 for 30 stories, and I saw 2 of them. One was about Deion Sanders, specifically about the night that he played football for the Falcons and then a playoff game with the Braves in baseball.
Came in a helicopter.
Arrived in Pittsburgh in a helicopter to play for the Braves against the Pirates.
That's what you call prime time. Prime time.
And you want to know something? Everybody roasted that young man. The media was all over him just because he played 2 different sports in one day. What other athlete do you know of that would complete a 60-minute football game, then quickly board a flight so he could be there for his baseball team?
Remember I told you in the beginning of the show about people that cause controversy? You either love them or hate them.
Yeah.
But you'll always have the opinion of him, like Howard Stern. You either love him or hate him, but you always want to hear his opinion so you can critique him.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same thing with him. Deion Sanders at the time was prime time, and that's all he did.
And he played like prime time. He was a phenomenal athlete.
And should he have stuck to one sport and probably excelled better? Who knows?
He have? I think he was a better football player than baseball player, although when he played baseball for the Yankees and the Braves and the Reds, he had quickness on the base pass like you could not imagine. If he played 162 games a season, he easily would have stolen 100 bases a year. And he was a pretty decent contact hitter, too.
Do you think he would have been another Ricky Henderson?
Oh, yeah, without question. The speed that he had was just magical. No one can teach quickness like that.
That's true. The only thing you can teach is reading the picture.
Mm-hmm.
That's about it. And that was, give Henderson his due. As much as you don't like him or people like him or don't like him, he could read a picture to the point where he just stole when he felt like it.
Oh, he was a master at reading the pitcher. He could tell whether the pitcher was leaving his shoulder open or closed. He could tell if a pitcher had a slow delivery or a quick delivery. Regardless, he was going to steal against that guy.
Going back to basketball for a moment and seeing, besides the controversy that the Houston Rockets are having, and the 76ers going to a 2-2 playing in Philly today.
Yeah, the Raptors, For a team that has flopped miserably in playoff games past, at least they're giving the Sixers, who a lot of people picked to win this series, a ton of trouble. I'll say this, though. If the Raptors were the same team last year, if they had last year's team going up against the Sixers now, the Sixers win that series. The only reason why that series is tied is because Kawhi Leonard has played great.
Wow. And that's saying a lot for one player.
Mm-hmm. Let me put it this way. DeMar DeRozan is a really, really good guard, a good scoring guard, a good creating type of guard. But he does not have Kawhi Leonard's mojo.
Here's another question. Ready? Does one guy, does he make a team? Does one guy make a team? Or does he need players to help him out to make him better?
It depends on the
I'm
player.
talking about in basketball, because in basketball, one guy, Michael Jordan used to take over.
Yeah.
Bird, Kareem, Worthy.
Mm-hmm.
All them guys, even though they were Lakers, but they took over. Now in football, was there that one guy that actually takes over?
Joe Montana. John Elway. Tom Brady.
John Elway?
John
Yeah,
Elway.
I can see him, even though he didn't win.
John Elway won a lot of games in come from behind fashion and in the last 2 minutes of a game. He was just outstanding in the clutch. A tremendous clutch player. Peyton Manning is the same way.
Do you see anybody in hockey?
In hockey?
Mary Lemieux?
In the modern era, Sidney Crosby, Alex Ovechkin, Patrick Kane. Last year you had Ovechkin who finally came out of the doldrums and just dominated in more ways than one. He was a terrific setup man for those guys. And he also had Nicholas Backstrom as a great supporting player for him. That's why the Capitals won the title last year.
How do you see the playoffs going down now?
Well, Carolina's already in. In fact, even though the other series is still close, I still think Boston's the better team. I think Boston is going to beat Columbus in that series in 6 games. I think they're going to win tonight, and I think they beat Carolina in a potential 7-game series. In fact, I think Boston might be the best team left in this entire postseason.
How about basketball?
Basketball, I still like the Warriors coming out west. And even though things have gotten tough for them, I still say the Celtics have a really golden opportunity to come out of the Eastern Conference. If Milwaukee had Malcolm Brogdon healthy, I probably would have said the Bucks. But right now, Boston has all of their players healthy. Kawhi Leonard is playing very well. And he's gotten he's also going to be getting Marcus Smart back. Marcus Smart is going to be coming back from injury, so now the Celtics can be really complete. So I think the Celtics come from behind to beat the Bucks, and I still like the Sixers to maybe edge the Raptors in a 6th game. I think that series goes 6, and I like that Boston versus Philly Eastern Conference final by far.
So you don't see the Sixers going any farther?
Tell you what, Sixers versus Celtics is going to be really, really hot because both teams have guys who could really change a game in more ways than one. Joel Embiid can dominate it down in the post and at the three-point line and at the perimeter. Ben Simmons is a tremendous creator of shots for teammates and for himself. J.J. Redick is a deadly three-point shooter. The Celtics, though, I think the Celtics might have a little bit more, a teeny tiny bit more defensively than the Sixers do. Because I think the Sixers are a lot more athletic. The Celtics, I should say, are a lot more athletic than the Sixers are.
And also, the Yankees won a rain-out game yesterday.
Yep.
Hamon pitched a good 6 innings or 7.
He's now the de facto ace for the Yankees right now. He's pitched tremendously. And speaking of the Yankees, they're playing the Mariners right now. And at last check, the Yankees have been hitting a ton of home runs in this game. Luke Voigt has a 2-run homer. Brett Gardner has a solo home run. The kid Esteban Florial has a 2-run home run. I think DJ LeMahieu also has a home run of his own. Yep, DJ LeMahieu has an RBI single, and Gio Urshela has an RBI single of his own. They are now in the 5th inning, and the Yankees lead 7-2.
And that's doing it without their key players.
They've got at least 11 players on the disabled list right now. And somehow the Yankees have been able to win games with guys like Domingo Germán and Thairo Estrada, DJ LeMahieu, Gio Urshela, Luke Voigt, who now has become a quick fan favorite at Yankee Stadium. They're still a long way from being really, really, really strong because they need all of their best players back. And that's another thing. When they get their guys back, they're going to have some problems trying to reconstruct the roster because some people need to be either sent down or designated for assignment, or they might have to work out a trade for somebody. Or maybe they can find some room on the bench. The Yankees do need bench help. So maybe they could find time for these guys on the bench.
And speaking of the other side of the island, our New York Mets.
The Mets, let's put it this way.
Cinco de Mayo was not good for them.
No, Cinco de Mayo was not good to them at all.
Mexico independence.
May the 4th be with you was not good to them at all either. They went 15 innings, and they could not close the deal on the Brewers. And just to give you an idea, Cinco de Mayo, everybody thinks that it's about Mexican independence, but it's really not. Cinco de Mayo has to do with Mexico's great victory over France in a major battle that they waged.
And that was independence.
Technically, that wasn't really independence, though.
Well, let me see. England conquered everyone. France conquered everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Spain conquered everyone. The Mongols conquered everyone. The Romans conquered everyone. I mean, I don't know. Rose, the historian buff.
Yep.
Or
For the
Bad
record,
Bunny.
Mexico's independence took place on September 16th, 1810. It was consummated September 27th, 1821, recognized December 28th, 1836, and they wrote their first constitution on October 4th, 1824, and their second constitution was February 5th, 1857. So that's your history lesson for the day.
Yep. And our history shows that the Mets are not doing very well.
No.
And the Yankees, they're doing better.
And
No.
get this, while the Yankees have about 10 or 11 guys on the disabled list and are over 500, they're in second place to be exact. The Mets have maybe 4 or 5 guys on the disabled list. They're only 2 games under 500. And they've had guys like Steven Matz and Noah Syndergaard go in and out of the starting rotation because of injuries. Steven Matz is the latest casualty. He had to get some work done on his shoulder because of a problem. And also, Jason Vargas hurt his hamstring over the weekend So he's on the disabled list.
You know, I can say this much, and that is I don't know who's got the toughest division, the Mets or the Yankees.
The Yankees definitely have the tougher division because there are 4 teams in that division that could probably, actually, I would say about 3 teams that you can count on. The Yankees, the Red Sox, don't let their record fool you. I think they're going to make a major run sometime this summer. And also the Tampa Bay Rays, who lead the division right now. There are 3 teams that could probably win that division. The Central Division, Cleveland is off to a up and down start. It's been the Minnesota Twins who've been the best team in the division. Everybody else is basically in rebuilding mode. And out west, the Houston Astros still are a team that should not be taken lightly. As far as the National League East, Philadelphia is going to be difficult. Atlanta is going to be difficult. I think Washington has enough pitching to probably keep them afloat for a little bit. I think the Mets are going to be lucky if they break 500 this year because the way they've been unable to get big hits, I just don't see the Mets really contending that much. Florida is awful. The Central Division right now, I think it could come down to St. Louis or the Chicago Cubs or maybe Milwaukee. Right now, Milwaukee's probably the top team in the Central Division right now. Out west, it's still the Dodgers. The Dodgers have been doing it with pitching. After that, San Francisco and San Diego have been basically average. Colorado's been a disappointment. And Arizona's been a major disappointment this season. So if you want to talk about which is the toughest division to try and compete in, I would probably say the National League Central and the American League East.
And going to football, even though I didn't know Monty Williams was such a damn heck of a head coach because a lot of teams want him.
He's a brilliant guy. Unfortunately, things in New Orleans did not work out for him. He did not get a fair shake at all whatsoever. I think if he gets the Phoenix job, I think he's got a really golden opportunity to turn things around because Phoenix has a plethora of young players that he can try and tutor, not just coach, but tutor down the road. And Phoenix still has a high draft pick. There's a chance maybe they'll get themselves a scoring forward who can really give them some support. And, of course, they still have DeAndre Ayton, who completed his freshman year in the league. There's also the kid from Kentucky that they have. And something tells me that Phoenix is going to be a really dangerous team to watch for, I would say, within the next 3 years or so.
People are still complaining about the Giants quarterback.
Mm-hmm. And Devin Booker is the guy that I was talking about. And, yes, they're going to continue to complain because they thought they should have drafted a defensive guy like maybe Josh Allen or someone else. But the camps are coming up. Let's see how he does in these rookie mini camps and then in the big training camp in July.
We have to go now.
Yep, we do.
It's about
Hector,
that
thank
time.
you.
Thank you for having me, and I'll see you next week.
All right.
And in the bleachers.
Yep, and
Channel
thanks to
37.
Kenny Graham on the other side of the glass, and thanks to the fans at home for watching. For everyone here, I'm Jamie.
I'm Hector.
Enjoy the games, folks.
Show.
Hope you had a safe and healthy Cinco de Mayo. Good night, everyone.
Channel 30, whatever. Talk to you soon.